Well, happy Mother's Day
Thank
to
you.
you. This is our first podcast in the car. Kids are in the back. Got Ariella over there. Say hi. She's got her face painted. And then Leon's over there watching Miss Rachel. So tell me, Gwyneth, what is it like giving birth?
You really want to go there?
What does Mother's Day mean to you?
I'm not sure. Mother's Day is just a day to celebrate moms, maybe just acknowledge their sacrifice, love on them, and yeah, a daily routine, but with a little bit more pizzazz.
That's good. What was your favorite Mother's Day so far?
Not sure. Probably the first one. It was during COVID though, so it was a little bit bittersweet. But I got to spend literally all day with just Ariella and you, and my mom was home too, helping me out. Our daughter was born probably a week or two before that, or a week and a half before that, so that was pretty neat. But yeah, and maybe this one.
Really?
2 kids now, and then I got a Lego set, Lego flowers.
Lego flowers?
Love Legos.
Because our love is eternal, like Lego.
And they don't die. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? What are your thoughts on fresh flowers? Which I love your thoughts.
You're like shared for all the women out there. So I personally think that flowers on Mother's Day, on Valentine's Day, on those, like, well, it's basically just those two. I think they're a little bit overrated. I love myself a good deal, so I know that stores tend to spike their prices up like crazy. So I'd rather have like a nice dinner and no flowers than I spend my whole paycheck on a bouquet of flowers that's gonna die by tomorrow if you don't put them in order, like in a specific way. Then
In the background, she was trying to give Leon like the thing that makes noise, and he was like reaching for it, and then they both dropped it.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, you know.
It's totally safe to put this in front of me when I'm driving.
You were saying?
Yeah, basically, so I think that flowers are a little bit overrated on actual Mother's Day and on actual Valentine's Day. I'd rather have like a nice dinner or other things than a nice bouquet of flowers. And then they're so overrated because they're big and they're arranged beautifully, but you kind of have to disassemble it that same night, or like 2 days later max. If not, they're gonna start dying on you. So I don't know. Legos are perfect for me, but I'm a little bit non-traditional in that way when it comes to flowers. But I'll take flowers any other day. That's not a holiday.
Yeah. So let's talk about motherhood. Okay. What do you feel like are things that you feel you're good at as a mom? Pat yourself on the back a little bit.
I feel like I'm pretty good at acknowledging my mistakes. I'd hope with our kids. So, you know, as parents, you're gonna mess up. You're human. So there's times where I'll assume something about my daughter, and I'll catch myself being quick to apologize. So if I'm assuming that something's her fault, I'll kind of just check myself, and I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, let me get the full story here, and kind of talk to her. And if it was my mistake, I'll actually tell her, oh, that was my bad. I thought it was this, and this. So not letting them feel like it's all their fault, because sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's our fault.
Yeah. Yeah, you are really good at that.
Thank you.
What's the worst mistake you've ever made in your whole life? Which kid was it? Just kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're trying out this podcast thing. Let us know what y'all think. I know I do. I want to start putting content out there because I just feel like, I don't know, it's just fun. I think back to like me and having all of my Instagram stories and all that kind of stuff that I go back to sometimes, and I love having that. I also love the idea of like documenting our life. So like putting this out there or whatever, this is just kind of a test really. Let us know what y'all think. Like it, subscribe, because apparently we can't live stream if I don't have 50 subscribers. I have 25 right now. But that's how it would work. I feel like if we're here in the car and we're just driving and we're just talking and maybe somebody's like asking a question about something. But
Very raw and real.
Raw and real. That's how we like it. So, speaking of Mother's Day, speaking of raw and real, what is a misconception that most moms think, but it's a misconception? What comes to mind?
About motherhood in general? Or?
Yeah. From a mother's perspective, what do you just not agree with? That's like a widely known thought thing.
That everybody's journey is the same. I remember when I was pregnant, I'll use the word hate. I used to hate it when women that were already moms would come up to me. And it was always like, just wait. And that pain, it's going to get stronger. And just wait till you have them. And those long nights. So it was already kind of like, it almost felt like trying to put you down due to their experiences. So to anybody who's a mom and tends to find themselves talking to other people about that, maybe realize that was your own journey. It doesn't have to be everybody's story. And then if you're not a mom yet, if you're trying, or if you're just simply not a mom, then just know that your story is going to be your own. Your path is going to look different. Your birth story is going to be different. The way you raise your kids is going to be different. It's great to get advice, don't get me wrong. But it's a huge misconception that if I felt pain, you're going to feel it. If I went through this, you are going to feel it. And that's just not true at all.
That makes sense. What if there's like a young mom who's like, you feel like like I feel like some of those women are doing things with the intention of like, they're not trying to butt in, but they are, especially when you don't agree with what they're saying. But I feel like, what do you do when there's a young mom that's doing something that you've already learned the lesson that she hasn't, and you're trying to like, actually, like, do you just butt in, or what's the right way to do that?
I've caught myself doing that, but I've seen two responses to it. First and foremost, you can't help people that don't want to be helped. I feel like a lot of the moms that are open to receiving advice, they'll kind of ask right away, like, like with your son, with your daughter, did you go through this, this, and this? And I'll give, again, my perspective. I'll say, this is what I went through. It could change for you, but like, this is what happened with me. And sometimes they'll be like, I already tried that. So like, just not assuming that they haven't already tried the things that you tried.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something that's like very, very bad, then you could, kind of cautiously just say, hey, do you mind if I share something with you? Like, this is what I went through. And again, it's what you went through, not, if you do this, then this, this, and this. So I'm just kind of giving advice. And if you see that they're open to it, great, have a conversation about it. But if not, if you're kind of being shut out, then just maybe don't don't share much.
Yeah. You and your mom have a great relationship.
Hola, mami.
Hola, mami.
If she's watching. Yeah, we do.
So, but a lot of, I would say like 80% of young girls don't have a good relationship with their mom at a specific age. But you never even went through that season, right? What do you, or you didn't, I don't think.
No.
So, I mean, but that's so common. Maybe it's more than 80% where there's like a, like, you know, some sort of thing that you obstacle that just makes young ladies feel like their mom doesn't know anything or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're becoming their own women. Do you think that stage is necessarily a bad thing? And how do we, or let's start there. Is that a bad thing?
Sorry, can you rephrase the question?
Is it a bad thing? You know that stage that you didn't go through. Is it a bad thing for that to be happening?
For the kids to not want to be with their mom much?
Yeah, like they're starting to become their own person, but they're really combating their mom. What do you think?
I think it all starts with the parent. My mom understood. Obviously, I think everybody knows that, like, specifically the middle school years, early high school, and late high school. So basically preteen and teens, they tend to be the hardest year because I feel like adults already have that mentality of, oh, you're already going through this, like, you're going through these changes, so I'm already telling you, or I'm being like this with you from the very beginning of, I'm going to be strict and there's going to be rules, instead of just being like, hey, well, what do you think? Like, what's going through your mind? And I know that my mom would do a lot of that with me. So instead of assuming, for example, you know, going into middle school, I was a little bit exposed to more things than you were in elementary. So instead of assuming, like if I were to tell her, hey, well, I actually saw somebody, I don't know, smoking in the restroom. And my mom was never the type to be like, what? How dare you? Turn around, leave. It was like, whoa, and what'd you think about that? Well, did you tell anybody? What happened? So it was always a conversation. I never once felt that my mom would be the last person that I would go to. She was always the first person, for the good and for the bad. So she always kept that open mind and open conversation with me. So she was truly my best friend. And then from my perspective, I also feel like I was a little bit more mature for my age, or at the very least, I understood that my mom wasn't the enemy. So
that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why do girls feel like their mom is the enemy?
Because we're girls. I don't know. I don't know if it's a maturity thing, or again because my mom always had that open conversation. But I never once saw my mom as the enemy. There was times obviously where I thought to myself like, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She wouldn't understand the way I'm feeling now. But my mom was also very open with me with her experiences. So it was never out of a place of, well, because I told you so, and because I'm the mom and that's it. So if I were to tell her an issue, she would maybe tell me a story that, you know, something that happened to her or to a close friend, and she'd be like, hey, well, this is what I went through, and then this happened. So if you wouldn't want this to happen to you, then maybe don't do this or avoid this. So again, she was never assuming, well, why are you asking me? Are you doing these things? Or are you doing this? So it was always an open conversation, and me seeing, oh, my mom actually has gone through these things. So she never put up she never put on a mask of, oh, well, I'm perfect, and since I'm the mom, I know better. It was always out of a place of experience, and her explaining that to me is, I think, what helped me understand, okay, she's not telling me just to be mean and evil. She's telling me because she does know better than I do.
Yeah. I do know that one of the things that differentiates our generation from the ones that were before is there's a lot less of like, well, you're gonna do that because I told you to do that.
Yeah.
Like, while that makes sense, like it makes sense, right? Because our parents typically know things that we don't. So it's like, I'm telling you, unless it's something that you can't handle, right? Like, you shouldn't do that because of reasons that you'll understand later. But the point isn't to not do the thing alone. The point is also to understand why not, right? Because there's a reasoning behind all of it. So I feel like your mom did a really good job of that, like talking to you, but she also brought herself down to your level. Like she showed her weaknesses and all that stuff. And I feel like that could be a good thing, and it is a good thing, right? Do you feel like we're doing that? You feel like that's
hope
kind
so.
of our MO?
I hope so. Yeah.
I think we definitely are doing that, but I think that our method, or it's Mother's Day. Let's talk about you. I want to talk about how good of a dad I am.
There you go.
Next week. No. So you're a mom to a girl and a boy now.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
Oh my gosh, huge difference. I'm sure they may or may not see this when they're a little bit older, but Ariela from the get-go, she was very talkative and outgoing, and even if she couldn't speak, she was trying to. She would babble, giggle, very talkative, very, very talkative. Would repeat what we would say. If we would clap, she would look at us and then start clapping. So she was very attentive, very talkative. And our son is very observant. I feel like right now, he's a year and a half now, but I think barely now is he kind of like, you know what, I do have a voice, and he'll kind of shriek or speak out a little bit more.
He's more particular than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he's more particular than our daughter, and that's because we thought that Ariela was a little bit particular.
Yeah,
but he's he's more observant, and then he'll be like, well, actually, I've analyzed the room.
Yeah.
And this is what I think of it.
Not what I thought little boys were gonna be like. I thought he was gonna be like, and like trying to punch things and stuff. Which the times he does is because you guys are playing karate or whatever, pretending.
We're kicking karate.
But he's kind of like, hey, my hands are dirty right now. I don't want this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and he'll make it known. Like, he'll just kind of stay there with his hands, and then until you clean them, then he's like, on to the next thing.
Which is interesting.
We've taken care of that.
That's not how, you didn't get that from me.
It's almost like I think he did get it from you.
Really?
I feel like it's very business of him. Like, I have entered the room, let me analyze, let me assess. This is what I've concluded.
Thank you for calling me business.
Businessman.
Business in the front, business in the back.
Shut
with
up.
Leon in the back. How you doing, Ariela? So, what do you feel like is next in your season of motherhood? First of all, you have a unique perspective of motherhood because you do it 24/7. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so we're blessed to be in a position to where I'm a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, and it's different, but it's a season that I'm enjoying now. I know that I'm not going to have them small forever. I had seen this kind of bar graph. I don't know if it was in a reel or something, but it was a bar graph of like our life, right? So sometimes we don't understand how little time we have with our kids as kids. So she's forever going to be my daughter. He's forever going to be my son, but they're not always going to be my babies. So if Ariela lives to be, just to make it easy, 100 years old, out of those 100 years, if we're just rounding, let's just say she moves out of the house at 18, 20, that's only 18 or 20 years out of the 100. So that's nothing. So I'm only going to know her as a child for a little bit of time versus her as an adult. So because of those years, I'd love to be with her in her adult years. I want to have that solid communication with her and everything. But the rest of those, again, just rounding, those 80 years, I have to focus on the 20 and just kind of make those very intentional, like
that's true.
Her childhood, to have a solid foundation, and then, hey, we have the rest of our lives as an adult. So
but not only that, but the 80 years are molded by the 20 that she's with us.
There we go. Yep.
It's like, I mean, and I feel like her, what was it, like 80, or like their brains right now is really the time where it sucks it all up, like all the information, and they're able to learn like 5 languages or whatever.
Yep. She's in a little phase right now where she wants to learn Mandarin.
Yeah.
Very random, but
Mandarin.
yeah.
tried watching a Chinese movie yesterday, and it was a little weird, so we turned it off.
Kung Fu Panda's where it's at, though.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda. That's American Chinese. That's American Chinese food in the mall. That's what Kung Fu Panda is.
There we go.
But so that's the season you're in right now. What is the next season? Is it just more of that? Are you excited about something else coming up?
Probably just more of that. I'm kind of excited now for, I guess, this next season more with Leon, because now he's starting to show me who he is. Now he's a little bit more human than a baby, if that makes sense. So now we get to seeing, and like now I'm going to be more in the teaching phase, which is what I did with Ariela, and she's kind of, it's interesting to see her help me with that too. So if I'm teaching Leon something, she'll kind of want to start teaching too. So it's really interesting. It's a really cool dynamic, and it's cool to see it work out.
Yeah. I feel like they're starting to get to an age where they kind of are hanging out with each other a little more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I agree. That is good.
Yeah. What else is there? We got like 3 more minutes before we get to my parents' house. Any advice for the moms out there?
No advice, but you're doing great. That's all you gotta hear.
That's like such a
mom
female perspective. Like the advice for dads would be like, you're not good enough.
You're not
you
good enough.
need to do way more.
Better.
You need to wake up, son. You need to go do your thing. And mom's just like, no advice.
No advice. You're doing great. You're loved. You're beautiful.
Doing
you're
perfect.
Cherished.
Everything you did is just the best.
Okay. Advice. I do this with my daughter. Advice for moms, or for parents in general, but Mother's Day, so we'll stick with moms. Is interview your kid. Not in front of a camera. Not what's your favorite color. We could try it in front of a camera. But I mean like detailed. So not the what's your favorite color, what's your favorite food. You can start off like that just to kind of warm them up. But something that I do with Ariela is I ask her like, well, how was your day? Good, bad, okay. What's your favorite color? This, okay. What's your favorite thing about mommy? And then she'll tell me. What's the scariest thing about mommy?
Ooh.
And then she'll tell me. How do you feel when mommy gets mad? How do you feel when mommy gets sad? How do you feel when mommy gets happy? And it is eye-opening.
Oh, shoot.
The answers that your child
What
will
is
give
the
you.
most shocking thing that she's told you?
I'm already crying. I'm such a baby crier.
Do it. Real and raw.
Very real and very raw. What did I ask her one time? I think that I had it was one of the first times that I got like pretty mad at her. And I asked her, I think I asked her what makes you sad about mommy? And then she said, well, when you get mad. And I said, oh, okay, well, I understand. And again, that's an open conversation. So I'm like, well, you understand why I got mad at you and so and so and so. And then I asked her, how does it make you feel when mommy gets mad? And typically you're expecting like, oh, well, I don't like it, or I'll behave better. But she told me, she's like, I get really sad. She's like, I get really sad, and it's a little bit scary. So then that was like a slap in the face for me, because I'm like, okay, being disciplinary doesn't mean having to be scary. It just means putting your foot down, being stern. So definitely recommend interviewing your kids and asking, because kids won't filter anything.
Yeah, we don't do that often. Like we never raise our voices, and we never do any of that. So like, I can only imagine, unfortunately, some of the people that may watch this that really need to interview their kids. Not saying that we're perfect, but
it's just a good perspective.
Yeah.
Because anybody can tell you anything about your kids, and you think you know your kids. Like I thought I knew what Ariela's answers were going to be, and they weren't at all. Both good and bad. But they weren't at all what I thought she would respond. So
yeah,
definitely suggest doing that.
Interesting. Well, that was it, guys. That was our first podcast, Mother's Day. Mexican Mother's Day, Dia de las Madres.
Dia de las
And
Madres.
women, you're doing a great job. Men, you're not doing a good job. So we want to leave that with you guys. Subscribe. We got to get to 50 subscribers so we can do this live. I feel like that would be the better format, is if this was just live and people maybe were interacting. And
That'll
stuff,
be
but
raw. Very
That'll
raw.
be real raw. That'll be.
We're gonna get canceled so quick.
It'll get canceled. You know how it is.
You think we're gonna get canceled?
Ariella, we love you. You love mommy. You think mommy's doing a good job for Mother's Day? She doesn't have the mic, but what? Yeah. What's your favorite thing about mommy? Here's a mic.
That she takes care of me real good.
Yeah, she takes care of you. All right. Happy Mother's Day. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.